People focus on failure and negative and anger.
That's what we want to see.
Controversy.
That's what we want to see. People want to see the anger.
Why do you think that is?
Look at Connor. What did Connor do for this fight? He did exactly what I did do. He hopped on a bike, did a little amateur style. He didn't have no clips, he didn't have no helmet. And then that jiu-jitsu coach he's got, I'm gonna get that man.
Hey Dylan, remember when you told Connor that you were a better version of Khabib and had him ready for the fight? LOL. Boom, roasted. Yo Dylan, who do you consider more your daddy? Conor McGregor or Gary Tonin? Boom, roasted. Yo, Dylan, teenager in 2004 want their hair back. I mean, seriously, who bleaches their hair anymore? You suck. Boom, roasted.
I forgot the name of them, but someone gave them to me, and I like the way they look, and I knew they would start a little bit of controversy. And I'm kind of known for like crazy sunglasses. So I was like, why not? And I mean, it's like the talk of the press conference, so it's all good fun. Like, it just gives more people to talk about. Like, a lot of fighters don't understand, you know, we're entertainers too, so it's all in good fun.
People focus on failure and negative and anger.
That's what we want to see.
Controversy.
That's what we want to see.
Why does the human mind prioritize negativity? Whether it be clickbait or controversy, when it comes to positivity, gratitude, easily our attention disregards the good in order to prioritize the bad. Negativity bias. Why do we possess such? John Cacioppo, PhD, conducted studies at both Ohio State University and the University of Chicago. Naturally, he found that electrical activity in the brain surged when presented bad news in proportion to good. The theory is our capacity to weigh negative input so heavily most likely evolved for a good reason: to keep us out of harm's way. From the dawn of human history, our very survival depended on our skill at dodging danger. The brain develops systems that would make it unavoidable for us not to notice danger, thus hopefully be able to respond to it.
All people are afraid. Being afraid is a very normal, healthy thing. If an individual were not afraid, I would have to send them to a psychiatrist to find out what was wrong. Nature gave us fear in order to survive. Fear is something which has to be controlled. The fighter who controls his fear can now function in a manner far over and beyond anything he was capable of before. Faced with a situation that intuition tells us danger is present, these natural assets that nature gave us to survive come to the surface. And if we don't panic, if we maintain a discipline and a control over them, we can use them. And they not only will help us survive the particular incident, but continued success will give us a confidence that is so strong and a foundation so powerful that in time we can get to overcome almost anything.
That's exactly it. Fear exists to protect us, but when it is not understood, it has the capacity to manipulate us irrationally, having us overreact or worse, destroy us like a blaze in the forest. But when understood and controlled, what you experience is no longer fear, it is respect. If you understand fire, if you respect what fire can do by staying sharp to its parameters, you may leverage it to your advantage. What was once an invitation into oblivion is now warmth to your home and forge to your steel. It is theorized that our brains evolved so large due to our ability to cook meat. Without fire, it is likely our world would be just as dark on the inside as it would on the out. That's what respect permisses. To avoid danger or leverage danger to our advantage, but at its core, respect and fear are two sides of the same coin. Yet they possess completely different translations depending on our perception of the stimuli, our level of understanding to that which evokes fear. This is why we fear, why we respect. It is a byproduct of our ancestors surviving millennia of hardship up until this point. Unfortunately though, in our current time and era, the same tier of hardships do not exist for the majority residing in the developed world. We have little to fear in comparison to our ancestors, but that does not change the fact that our mind still has this overactive amygdala. in an attention economy. Naturally, there will be those who exploit our instinctive negative bias for their own gain. Of course. Tragically, it's not that we are that foolish as humans. When calm, patient towards gaining understanding, many of you are far more brilliant than you realize. Unfortunately, though, it is said to be easier governing a nation than mastering one's own mind. When the inflammatory negativity evil is presented, even I may react before an understanding is formed. We are but mere humans, with a long way to go after all. Now, Conor McGregor's protege wanted me to share a segment about him, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity because Dillon Danis voluntarily invites negativity by being inflammatory. When it comes to civilized society, naturally, we do not want people behaving in the same manner as Conor or Dillon. Thus, worried about others adopting this behavior, we slam it in an attempt to hammer it back to size. Ironically, though, the reverse often happens. By providing attention to this behavior, it is rewarded in the attention economy. But Dillon Danis understands this. He understands the other side of anxiety is excitement. He wishes to stimulate your amygdala by giving people something to passionately attack. It's great, isn't it? Momentarily having us forget the rest of the world by projecting all of this hatred, all of this emotion onto one person. To glint insight into who he truly is, let's take an understanding from Abraham Lincoln. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. This is the truth. When Khabib Nurmagomedov wins, that is when he has the most power over his opponent, yet the majority of the time, he ushers nothing but respect and gratitude to his competitors. But when you attack who he is, what he believes in, where he comes from, his response is the other side, to character. Pure wrath.
I don't like looking at these things either, you know. At the end of the day, we are all competitors. Nothing but respect from my competitors, that we all need each other at the same time, you know.
You can see the same understanding with Conor McGregor as well. He advocates respecting all of his competitors despite being very harsh, critical, inflammatory, and disrespectful to their face. But regardless of what is said, when he is victorious, he almost feels bad for winning. He doesn't actually like hurting people, it seems like. Every decision he's made is done for the sake of establishing wealth. Despite his controversial behavior, it is simply a means to an end. This is who he truly is. Sorry, brother. We'll go again. All before a morning Aldo. A man he trashed ruthlessly before the contest. So, what about Dillon then? Here we'll have the privilege of having a jiu-jitsu master, Dennis Kang, explain what is happening.
Okay, so if you watch at the beginning that Dennis is on his back, he starts to invert and his is sticking out the side. That's because he put his right hand underneath the dude's leg. So he's hooking himself and bringing his head. So he's basically curling his arm to his head. That arm inside is actually the beginning of a simple setup to get an armbar or sweep, also called a pendulum sweep or pendulum armbar. He loses the arm and then transitions over to a knee bar by keeping that leg that he was holding. So he's now inverted, trying to get underneath his opponent. The opponent kind of wiggles out of the knee bar, and Danis transitions to the foot of the opponent, applying a toe hold, which is like kind of a figure four lock on the ankle and the foot.
After securing the submission, naturally Dillon rises, taking in the moment of victory. But notice this, the look of surprise the moment he turns and sees his opponent still sitting on the canvas. This is who he truly is in a moment of power. He rushes in to make sure Walker is okay, then thanks him. It's hard to fake an instant reaction such as this. He appears genuinely concerned for his opponent's safety, and the mutual respect between the two. It feels real all the same. Despite adding drama in an attempt to stimulate the consumer, when we take a closer glance to continue observing Dillon, we realize, like most fighters, he's actually likely a very good guy. It's interesting. Most trained fighters are the nicest people in the world, usually because they have a place to vent or discharge life's frustrations, but also, as they rise in level, intuitively, they adopt more respectful behavior, as we realize that is a better long-term training strategy. It's common amongst white belts to injure themselves or others due to that initial ego they possess. As they continue training, they begin to understand that in order for this to be a feasible environment of self-development, a certain degree of respect is mandatory. In that sense, not just with Dylan Dennis, Khabib Nurmagomedov, or Conor McGregor, the true colors of many martial artists inevitably becomes one of respect. Even if individuals like Conor and Dylan present a controversial nature at first, they do this to hijack your amygdala's fear response in order to stimulate the masses with drama. But patience towards understanding is what allows us to see one's true colors. With the case of most fighters, in a moment of power, the natural response is not to look down, but instead respect their opponents. And it usually isn't faked or staged. It is a genuine emanation from their heart. It makes sense. After all, it's very hard to be good in this world if you don't have some level of respect. Who's going to want to coach you? Who's going to want to train with you? You might end up injured yourself. Respect, when playing with fire, is pretty much mandatory somewhere along the way. Understanding this, let this teach us not to jump to conclusions based upon fear. Instead, I implore you to be calm, patient, and observant of each variable. Time will always reveal one's true character.